looks like, once I can get the teams up. Okie dokie, so we have from Robin Sage's team. Robin is a player for
Hardcore.
Hardcore, thank you. God, I'll get this down someday. Hard has brought a lot of Jaegermechs, Cicadas, a Victor, a quick... Okay, so we've got 2 Shadowhawks, a Battlemaster, a Cicada, Jaegermech, Victor. This is a very interesting loadout. I'll be interested to see how it plays out. They have, in fact, spawned on low side towards water and are actually making a very aggressive push up towards Radio Tower across river right now. However, the opposing team, Fighting Monks, have, in fact, moved through water as a whole. They're making a very commanding push. It's interesting. You don't often see mechs forego that Radio Tower. So they're actually moving down through the water around boat, and each team is exchanging shots. Hardcore is holding the land very well, whereas it looks like the Fighting Monks are holding water. They appear to be trying to move out. It almost looks like they're trying to trade sides, and Hardcore is moving up into the position, launching UAV, just trying to get some good jump sniping cover. They don't appear to have a ton of jump snipers, actually, though, now that I say that, like an idiot. They have Jaegermechs, a lot of peeking mechs, and at this point, the teams have almost completely switched sides. We have a Cicada out in the back for the Fighting Monks, but the rest of Hardcore is moving near Radio Tower, and Fighting Monks have taken sort of a position out in the water, trying to just get these long-range shots. They've brought a mixture of what looks like Cataphracts, Shadowhawks, and Miseries, and actually an Artie goes down. No critical hits, but some decent damage, and a couple of those Cataphract 3Ds. The rest of their team is just sort of sitting down trying to get picked shots. They have a couple mechs on land, just watching a different approach, but this is a fairly passive game so far. It looks like Hardcore is just trying to move up and, in fact, take that Radio Tower area. I have to say, Siri, what do you think about that move to give up Radio Tower?
I think that it's not as bad as it could be for them. I don't think this is going to be a bad move for them, just because Hardcore doesn't have the number of jump snipers to really punish them from that ridge. And so I think they're comfortable with this move. The concern now is that they don't get struck too much, because they have lost not a lot of armor, but they have 3 or 4 mechs down in the 80 percentile on armor, and that's just basically from strikes. In terms of the actual range, this fight has been occurring at like 1,000, 1,100, and all the damage has been minimal.
Yeah, this is definitely interesting. We're not seeing much light play. We see a couple of a Cicada and a Jenner, and a couple Jenners from the Fighting Monks. They are moving out, trying to get a little bit of scouting information. It looks like they're pushing up towards Radio Tower. Some decent hits go down on the Cicada. Oh, maybe not decent hits. It looks like he saw some explosions, but he's still at 93%. Very passive, kind of poking game. Neither side seems to be getting much of an advantage with trades, but it's definitely anybody's game at this point.
Like right now, the challenge for both teams is staying cohesive enough that you can make a move, while staying dispersed enough that you're not taking multiple mechs getting damaged by air and artillery.
Yeah, and it seems right now like Hardcore is doing a very good job of staying spread out. They have a few mechs actually pushing down towards water, Cataphract 3D, Cicada, and Firebrand, whereas it does look like the Fighting Monks are very clustered behind that rock. It's one of the only pieces of cover out in the water besides, obviously, the boat, so they are more susceptible to air arty, and damage numbers show it with a couple of their mechs dipping down towards 80%, whereas most of Hardcore looks fairly fresh.
Well, the question for me is, what are they running on those Miseries? Are you able to just take a quick look?
Yeah, I can. Let's see. I believe it's the PPC AC-20, but it might actually be PPC Gauze, because they haven't gone for any form of a push yet. So we have... Let's find one of those Miseries. these miseries are actually triple large laser AC-20. So they are not ERs, which means that they're not like it would seem like they would want to be going for a more brawling fight. I think both of these teams sort of understand the situation that they're sitting in right now and are trying to just get as much poking damage in as possible. I think it is interesting that the Fighting Monks gave up that position purely because they do have so many mechs that are capable. I mean, Miseries are great for poking. Cataphracts 3Ds are obviously one of the prominent jump snipers. They have Shadowhawks. It's interesting to me that they didn't hold that ridge.
Well, one thing to note is that on a different game mode, like say Conquest or Assault, that push generally gets you a fight in that stage area because people want to defend the bases and the spawns over there. But on Skirmish, you're free to just say, leave it. You can have that. I'm gonna go take the territory over there, and that's what Hardcore did.
Yeah, and we see some fighting going on with these with the light mechs, Jenners and Cicadas, poking a little bit at the mechs up by Radio Tower. Hardcore is actually very not very spread out, but they are spread out. They have the majority of their forces hiding up behind Radio Tower, whereas some of their mechs, Cataphract and a Jaeger mech, are holding down by the water. I don't see a lot of shots being exchanged, which is interesting.
Now that we know what's on the Misery, I'd say that the actual sniper potential goes Hardcore's way for sure.
Yeah.
Those Shadowhawks aren't going to be snipers, those Miseries aren't going to be snipers, and so if the Fighting Monks want to force a fight, they're going to have to find an angle to come from that is safe, basically. Because they don't have, until they close to about 450 and those large lasers come into play, they don't have the suppressive fire to keep the enemy snipers down. Whether it's the peak snipers and the Jaeger mechs or the actual jump snipers and the Cataphract.
And their Fighting Monks are doing a lot of scouting and poking with their light mechs, which can be very dangerous. We talked about that earlier today in the stream. But so far their lights haven't taken any significant damage, so it's okay. As long as they don't lose one of those lights, nobody's on the back foot. Nobody has to be forced to make an engagement. But right now, each team is going to be feeling that pressure. As you can see, that Jaeger mech Double D a little bit out of position, pushing out towards water, kind of by himself from Hardcore. He's got some people watching him, and that could be bait if those light mechs are looking and trying to swarm in around him. But yeah, it looks like the Fighting Monks have moved to a more defensive position on the boat. Little missed airstrike there. I got to see the plane fly by. That was fun. But yep, so just a poking game right now. And so, Siri, regardless of build, what position do you favor personally as a player in this situation?
That's a tough one. The thing about that is, you're saying regardless of build, and it does come down to the build I have, and where I'd like to favor. So
equal build on each side. So you're running the same mech.
Well, again, say it's the quote meta and it's more snipers, then I honestly don't like the comm tower that much when it comes to sniping. There's just not enough area up there to jump and be unpredictable, and it's fairly easy to get airstrikes on you, whereas on the other side you can fan out and get multiple angles. And actually assaulting at that high hill right in your face can be detrimental to your movement. But in this situation, I do actually still favor the Fighting Monks, just because from what I've seen of their builds, it is one cohesive strategy with large lasers and AC-20s across multiple of their mechs. So if they can find that engagement, then I think it's going to go well for them. There's many disparate parts to a Hardcore's loadout, and in their current position, I think only about 4 or 5 of those are in their optimal environment.
And we do see Hard Corp is actually moving. They are going to go for a cave rush. That's really, well, not necessarily a rush at this point in the game, but it is still an enjoyable thing to see. They have shifted all of their mechs from near water and from radio tower and are now pushing through cave. I don't know if the Fighting Monks have seen this coming. They are not repositioned. Oh no, they totally have. Their stalkers are moving back out into the water. They're completely repositioning.
The question is, do they want to reposition like safe, or do they want to set up a death trap?
For them with their builds, I would have tried to move like back towards the spawn on this side of the map. There are some very like tight corners that you have to funnel a lot of people through, but it looks like they're all pushing out through the water. I wonder if they saw that movement, or if they also just were deciding that this was the time to move, because they're now pushing out through water, watching. It looks like they are actually watching radio tower, not the exit to tunnel. We see, yep, so Hard Corp is actually moving down. They've come out of the tunnel and they're moving down through river near Culvert. But Fighting Monks are gone. They're on the other side of the map. They're holding on this opposite island out in the water. Lights are still scouting. They're moving up to make sure that there isn't a bunch of powered down mechs or anything hiding on the shore. And it looks like both teams are sort of setting back up. Fighting Monks are out in the water, and it looks like Hard Corp is also going to maybe set back up in the river delta here.
So question to you, what's it going to take for a fight to occur?
A pick, I think. We see a couple light mechs out. I think they're baiting. Yep, they're baiting the heavy mechs from Hard Corp out with these lights on the edge of the boat. I think Hard Corp feels like they have the stronger brawling composition with maybe the mechs that they've seen from the Fighting Monks, and so they're trying to get that engagement. So they're moving a bunch of mechs. All of their mechs are moving to boat. They're split up into sort of 3 different groups trying to push through at once. Nobody's going through the middle actually, but they are pushing over the boat, laying down arty strikes on the Fighting Monks themselves, but still no casualties. People are just kind of backing off, taking good shots. Oh, one of these miseries gets a little bit blocked and is taking what looks to be quite a bit of damage, down to 72%. Hard Corp is really pushing their advantage. As Battlemaster is moving up, taking a lot of damage, 42%, 41%. He goes down. First mech down in the game is from Hard Corp, but they are still pushing in, and it looks like the Fighting Monks are just trying to back off, really trying to play to the advantage of their builds with the large lasers and the PPCs. The miseries are actually moving in now, though, and they take 2 more kills off of Hard Corp, and then the Fighting Monks are up now. They seem to back into a position and just sort of regroup, and now they're actually pushing in. It's a good fight so far.
What it looks like is that Hard Corp got a little strung out because both of their mechs are moving at different speeds, and they're going on a chase trying to get those lights, and everybody is just going full speed and not really looking behind them to see how far back the support is.
Yeah,
and that just strung them out, and the FM is pushing back in to smash the front of the push.
A couple more mechs go down, and it is now 2 mechs down for the Fighting Monks compared to 6 mechs down for Hard Corp. They are taking a lot of damage, and looks like these mechs from Hard Corp they're doing their best, but it's getting to that sort of downhill boulder stage where I'm pretty sure that the Monks have this one. It's 3 kills to 8 now, and I think this is going to be game. I think the Fighting Monks have it, Siri. That was a good call. Yep, just 2 mechs left now for Hard Corp. And managed 3 kills. Ooh, Cicada goes down. 1 mech remaining. And Fighting Monks take the game.